Wish TV. All Indiana Politics
is your premier source for Indiana politics.
Focusing on issues that matter to you.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage, exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders, expert analysis on critical legislation. From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Your day moves fast. Your news should too. That's why there's a new and improved Wish TV app, bringing you more local news, breaking alerts, live streaming, weather forecasts, radar, and Indiana sports, all in one place. Customize your news feed to see the stories that matter most to you and get the information you need when you need it. Download the new and improved Wish TV app today on iOS or Android and take News 8 with you everywhere.
Welcome to another episode of All Indiana Politics Conversations. I'm your host, Garrett Bergquist, the producer of All Indiana Politics, and today we're kicking off a four-part series talking to all the candidates running for Secretary of State this year, and we're beginning with independent candidate Greg Ballard. Greg, welcome to the show.
Garrett, thanks for having me. I very much appreciate it.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your upbringing.
I grew up in Indianapolis. I'm an Indy kid. Went to Catholic grade schools. I went to Catholic high school also, that was at 14th and Meridian, now it's not. It's Cathedral High School. But back then it was an all-male high school that drew from all over central Indiana, actually. And did okay there, I guess. But then I went to IU, spent way more time there than I should have, getting my four-year degree. And because I was kind of an unstructured kid, if you will. I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't get in trouble, nothing like that. But I would just... Unmotivated is not the right word. I'd say unstructured. So I took a little time there. But after I got done there, I joined the Marine Corps, well, you can't be unstructured in the Marine Corps. So we had, as I like to say, my life changed very forcefully, but absolutely all for the better. And I spent 23 years active duty in the Marines. I was in the Persian Gulf War back in 1991 and had a really good career. Met my wife in California. In San Clemente, California. We've been married 43 years now, 2 kids, 39 and 40. And it's been good so far. As you know, I ran for mayor, did pretty well there, and here I am now trying to make a change right now.
And we'll delve into all that, but going back to your upbringing a little bit, and attending school here in Indianapolis, tell me a little bit about some of the life lessons you learned early on.
Well, I don't know. To be honest, that's a really good question. I get that sort of question a lot in mentorship and everything. I think I was in a nice environment, and I think the academics are pretty good, but frankly, a lot of it was kind of easy at times, and that led to problems later on because I didn't really know how to study. Again, going back to the whole structure thing, I didn't know how to ask for help. And because the results were good, I didn't really get that skill set, which I should have. I wish I had earlier. But I did really well in school, but it wasn't. I would suggest to you that when I went back in high school, that the counselors and the people that kind of come forth to mentor you today, to make sure you're going in the right direction and really talk to you, that didn't really exist back then. You were almost on your own a little bit. And I could have benefited from that, but I can't complain about my life. It turned out pretty good. So,
what first drew you to military service?
No, that's a really good question. I was floundering down at IU. I had 90 hours done. Didn't know where I was going to go. Didn't know what I was wanting to do at all. None of that was in my mind, frankly. And I thought, well, maybe the military or something. So I went into the recruiting office down in Bloomington, Indiana. I went in there specifically to talk to the Army, Navy, and Air Force recruiters. As I walked in there, they were all busy, and the Marine recruiter was kind of lurking about in the hallway. That was the one service I was determined not to talk to. And he was an old drill instructor. I'm just lurking in the hallway myself, and he comes up to me, and I'm not exaggerating this. Hey, want to talk about the Marine Corps? So I stayed in there in his office for 2 hours, never talked to the other services. He said, get back in school, get your 30 hours and come in as an officer. And that's what I did a couple of years later. The irony of that is I actually led a recruiting station 15 years later. I was in St. Louis, had 2/3 of Illinois and the eastern third of Missouri. And none of my recruiters would have said that to me to get back in school and complete. They would have put me in boot camp. But he said that day, and I don't know why, but and it just had an effect on me.
Yeah. And so tell me about those first few years in the Marine Corps.
Well, it's kind of funny. On the second, I remember very specifically, the second Thursday at Officer Candidate School in Quantico, Virginia. I remember sitting on my footlocker, saying, "What have I done to myself? What have I gotten myself into?" It was very rigorous. I'm a non-military family. Wasn't sure what was going on down there, but after 4 or 5 weeks, you kind of pick it up and get the routine. And frankly, the Marines provided the structure that I needed, a path forward, if you will. And believe it or not, I'm way more creative within a structure now than I would be otherwise. And that's probably the opposite for most people. But I'm actually more creative and better thinking within a structure. And the Marine Corps provided that for me, provided a path, provided a paycheck also at the time, which was needed, but also brought in attributes that I probably didn't possess at the time of understanding how the country was formed, patriotism, what service is, and why you need to be part of something bigger than yourself if you can.
Tell me about your experience during the Gulf War.
Yeah, that was, people ask me about that, and war, like in most cases, is lots of boredom interrupted by moments of frantic activity, and that's what it was for us. We were a logistics unit, but we were forward, especially as we were waiting for Desert Storm to kick off, because the first part of that was Desert Shield. Desert Storm started just in January.
Right, because Shield started it within a few weeks. Yeah, August, and basically ran right up until January 16th. Right.
Right, exactly, and so we were forward based, but we were a logistics unit, and the only thing that really happened to us was we got some bombing for about a 2-week period, maybe 10 days out of a 14-week period. We were getting artillery from Iraq that was raining down on us, and we didn't have forward offensive forces near us, and they had to come from behind, and eventually some air assets took those artillery units out that were bombing us. So that was the frantic activity. But other than that, we kind of just did our thing. As we had to do.
Now, did you end up going into Kuwait with the Marines who went up the coast?
Interesting, because we were supposed to, but the ground war moved so fast. Our unit was supposed to go after the initial surge. We were supposed to go in and take over a port called Al Shawaba in Kuwait, but the ground war went so fast because the air war and everything, the softening up period, if you will, really did soften them up, and the war was over in 4 days. So we never had the chance to move forward. But we were on the northern end of Saudi Arabia, near Iraq, about maybe 20 miles out.
Have you ever been back to Kuwait since then?
No, I actually haven't. So it's kind of funny. It's a part of the world that I really haven't gone back to. I think I saw enough of it. Frankly, it wasn't the war experience, frankly, but it was. When you visit Europe and Asia and things, there's a modern aspect to it. I really never got that aspect of the Middle East, at least the parts that I were in, which is, frankly, the desert.
Yeah. How did your experience in the Marines shape your approach to politics and to life in general?
Doing the right thing for the right reasons, no question about that. Being part of something bigger than yourself is ingrained into me. That's why I ran for mayor the first time, obviously. All those things really mattered to me. And people ask me a lot how it helped being the mayor, and really mostly focus, because as you know in politics, people come at you from different angles and they try to throw you off your game and this and that. But I was able to know where we wanted to go. I was very collaborative in my leadership approach, but I was able to bring people together. For some reason, I attract really good people to help out with the administration. But once we made a collective call, we moved forward, and we stayed on focus. We didn't get off track at all, and I think that was a lot of that was the Marine Corps. But I think so many of those people were attracted to the fact that they knew we were doing it for the long-term health of the city of Indianapolis. We weren't doing it for me. We weren't doing it for the Republican Party. We were doing it for the long-term health of Indianapolis.
And that does lead me to my next question. Why did you decide to run for mayor of Indianapolis against Bart Peterson in 2007?
I just thought the city could do better. I had a couple of gentlemen that most people would never know say, you have the skill set to be mayor, you need to look at this. There's a whole story that goes along with that. But I called up the county chair, and I talked to him, and I said, people are telling me I should do this. He didn't know who I was. Nobody knew who I was in either party. Nobody knew who I was. and I wasn't involved in politics at all. But as it turned out, with what I call comical sausage making, all of a sudden I am now the winner of the primary to become the mayor of Indianapolis, and taking on, at the time, a pretty formidable guy, and frankly, a really nice guy. Bart Peterson is a really good guy, nice guy.
You took office just in time for the Great Recession. Tell me what navigating that was like.
That was difficult beyond belief. We had to make so many different calls. One thing I'm really proud of is we did not lay off anybody in the city. Other cities and states around the country were laying people off. It's hard to understand how difficult the Great Recession was. Certainly the biggest economic downturn in the country since the Great Depression. It was very, very difficult. We did lose people along the way, but we attrited them, but we did not necessarily replace them. So we managed our numbers that way and managed our budget that way. But also I wanted to keep building, and Cityway actually came about during the Great Recession, and that was a very difficult call because about the liquidity of money at the time, the interest rates, and now people are wanting to do this at this time. The fact that Lilly wanted to be a part of it, they really wanted that development to be there, particularly the hotel. Some nice apartments downtown. It looked good. That was probably the riskiest economic call I had to make as the mayor, was to go forward with Cityway during the Great Recession. But I also knew construction companies, engineering companies needed work. They were looking for work, and that weighed in heavily in that decision also.
What are you most proud of from your time as mayor?
That we created a new level of leadership in the city. If you look where my people are now and what they are doing across the city and the state, it's rather remarkable, the positions that they've held. Not just presidents in private companies and running things, but certainly we have several people flow through IU, probably 6 or 8 people flowing through IU at significant positions. Working at the State House, we have the State Civil Rights Director, still who's your lottery commissioner. But we had people in the IEDC. We just had people everywhere in significant positions, not just working with them as staffers. They were leading them. And that's happening in private industry, Gelser Investment, and Garmon Construction right now. I mean, it's just amazing what they have been doing. So I was blessed, and when I look back, I always feel blessed that I had these quality people working in the administration. I was so fortunate.
What were some things about being mayor that really surprised you?
A lot of it I had to learn some stuff very quickly. The good thing is I can usually learn pretty quickly, but I had to learn the media and how that operated. When I went in, frankly, I thought the policy aspect of it would carry the day, but then you find out you kind of have to manage the message from day one on that, not just do the policy and then you'll message it later. We made sure that we did the right things up front, if you will. We didn't make decisions based on that sort of thing, but we just kind of managed the message. We made decisions that were based on the long-term health of Indianapolis. That's what we were based on. But then I had to learn. Other people knew this in my administration, and frankly, they had to knock it into my head. That we got to make sure that people are on board as we move through this. We just can't formulate something and then all of a sudden stick it out there and say everybody go along with this. So I had to learn that one. I remember very specifically. My first chief of staff, Paul Okeson, who's a wonderful guy. I'm not sure where I would be without him. We were having a discussion actually about a media strategy, if you will, and I said, "Well, Paul, if you can't do this, we'll just do this." And he looks me right in the eye and he goes, "Mayor, that is 100% wrong." At that point in time, I knew I had the right guy in that office. I knew I had the right chief of staff, and because I need people to tell me that, and I had those people around me as much as I possibly could.
He was willing to speak truth to power, as they say.
Absolutely, and he was very, very good at it. I always describe him this way when I get asked about Paul. I said, you can have a meeting with Paul, and he'll tell you no, but you'll like him more afterwards than before. That's who Paul is.
Why did you decide to run for Secretary of State as an independent rather than at the Republican Party convention?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the office needs independence. There's far more independence in the state of Indiana and across the country than people know. There's 41% in the state of Indiana, 29 see themselves as Republicans, 21 as Democrats. Across the nation, it's closer to 46% see themselves as independent. So the split in the country is not really Republicans and Democrats 50-50. That's not it at all. It's 50-50 people affiliated with a party and 50% are unaffiliated or independent. That's the split in the country, and I think we're recognizing that for what it is, and looking at the problematic incumbent right now, and we just think that office needs to be independent. And so that's why I say I will not donate to, endorse, fundraise for anybody when I'm in that office. It completely needs to be independent. And once you're in office, you're out of politics, and that's just the way it is. And that's just not the way it's been done, certainly in the last 4 years. So there's lots of things we want to do, like put out voters' guides and things like that. But I think I want to bring some stability and dignity back to that office. I think I did a pretty good job of that when I was the mayor. People saw me as a stable figure there. Plus, honestly, I'm the only one with a lot of experience. I'm the only one who's run big organizations. So I think I could bring all that to that office. It's just it has to be done differently than it has been done.
You're running under the Lincoln Party label, and that's partly due to a quirk in state law dealing with
Right.
independent candidates. If you win at least 2% of the vote in November, that puts the Lincoln Party on the ballot for the next 4 years. And if you win at least 10%, they'd be able to hold primaries. What's the plan for the Lincoln Party as a whole after the election if you hit those thresholds?
Yeah, that's the beautiful part about this, is that it's in every election across the state. So independence will be called the Lincoln Party, but it will be the party really for independence. The irony of that is both Democrats and Republicans have been coming to us wanting to look at talking to us after the Secretary of State's race, because they see what's happening, because the toxicity in politics, the extreme ideology of both parties is just making people upset. It's getting people are angry. They're disillusioned, whatever, especially the younger generations. Under 40 have never seen the government work. So in the future, we're going to put people up for what we call practical problem-solving kind of people you'd be proud to have into office. That's who we want. We're not going to flood the zone. We're not going to put a Lincoln Party member into every race and just let it happen. That's just not what we're going to do. We're going to be very selective in how we grow this thing out. We want people who are known, people who can win, and people, like I say, you'd love to have in the office. Most people don't know this, but in the last couple election cycles, you probably heard me say this, I'm not sure, but when we talk to political operatives, these numbers stun them. In the last two election cycles, 244 independents have run throughout the state of Indiana. 52% won. 52% of the 244 independents won. That shocks people because they were locals. The people knew them. For instance, the mayor of Huntington, Richard Strick, good guy. Republican councilor, ran as an independent for mayor, won re-election in a heavily Republican district, won re-election against a Republican also. So there are commissioners or councilors or mayors across the state of Indiana, and they've had some tremendous success. It has been done at the state level, but we think it's time to do that because, frankly, both parties have left the average person. They just have, and they're serving themselves. They are not serving the people anymore.
Do you view the Lincoln Party, at least as it currently stands, as essentially a centrist party?
We're trying not to put labels on this, to be frank. We don't care if you're lean a little left or lean a little right. It doesn't really matter. We want people that the average person could trust. We want people to be able to vote their conscience, which they can't do now. You know, I know, everybody who's paying attention knows that people make votes or make decisions based on not getting primaried the next time out. They're not necessarily making calls, making votes on what's the right thing to do for the state of Indiana. They're trying to not get primaried the next time, and I think that is what we want to change. We really want to change that. We want people to do the right things in office, and not have the parties have this massive power that they have right now, and keeping everybody out. I'm sure you probably know that only 1 in 5 registered voters in the state of Indiana can actually run for office. It's a very closed system. The Republican nominee, when he got after he won the nomination at the convention, said, "I want to close the primaries." I hear that, but I see somebody who wants 90% of the people to vote for his little 10% exclusive club. That's what I hear, because it costs about $10 million a year to run a primary. And they want to close it off. And no, we want to open it up. The Lincoln Party wants to open up the voting systems in the state of Indiana. We want voters to have more choices, and we want more people to be able to run for office. Easier ballot access, because right now it's a very, very closed system, and both Republicans and Democrats like it like that.
Do you potentially see the Lincoln Party becoming a national party, or do you want it to remain focused on Indiana?
Right now, Indiana, because every state's a little, it's its own thing, a little quirky, if you want to use that word. But ours is, you run as an independent, go get 37,000 signatures, which is way beyond what other states do. Cost us a lot of money, as you know. But then once you're in, then you got 4 years of access to this. As long as we keep doing the right thing, we'll always. Every state is a little different, so you got to figure out the method for each state. Can it do that? Maybe, but certainly that in the next few years, that's not going to be the focus. The focus is going to be Indiana.
And we're about out of time. Greg Ballard, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate it.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.